How do you start a broadcast like today's? First of all, it should come as no surprise to you that Nancy Pelosi announced her retirement because I told you it was coming. If you understand the two behind her, which I know you do because I've informed you what the two behind her are doing, again, this would come as no surprise. But you understand what the chaos theory is, the chaos principle that the Democrats deploy, because it's been ultimately successful. And the Republicans have had no response to it. And it's amazing how many people don't understand that it is by design being deployed by the two successfully behind her. But now we come to the next phase in the chaos theory, which I'll go on later, much later in the podcast, to define what it means because it's important you understand it. Because if the Republicans don't get a handle on what the Democrats are doing through this chaos principle, then not only will we have the results like we just saw a few days ago, but the midterms will be lost also. Because not only is the old guard being replaced, but soon, many Republicans will be too. Seem like a big statement to you? Don't be so certain it's untrue. Don't be so certain their momentum will be lost if people don't wake up. Will Mamdani fail in New York? Absolutely. But will Republicans know how to seize on it? Isn't that the problem? Do you hear Trump screaming right now to deploy the filibuster? And what was his statement? If the roles were reversed, they would launch it immediately. Is he wrong? Because he understands exactly what the Democrats are doing. But his own party has no idea. It's a story I'll bring you in just a few seconds.
Following some breaking news in D.C. right now, the Justice Department is said to be investigating D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser for corruption. That's according to the New York Times. Now, the investigation reportedly focuses on the mayor's 2023 trip to Dubai.
Yeah, there's a few more details behind that. We may understand why now Mayor Bowser was cooperating with President Trump. Because the Justice Department is investigating her, as reported. But why? Because she took a trip to Qatar, or because the trip to Qatar was paid for by Qatar. You see, that would be kind of a big issue, and hence why she may be cooperating, but one of many stories. This story is a major story, and it was probably, many of you don't even know it exists, because the mainstream media doesn't like reporting on victories or things that may be overturned. They just like reporting the lawfare against Trump, but what happens when it's reversed? Second Circuit Court issues major decision on Trump's New York criminal case. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals has reopened the possibility for President Trump to seek dismissal of his Stormy Daniels hush money convictions, the 34 felony counts. Why? Because of the Supreme Court's ruling of potential presidential immunity. What a novel thought, huh? At least somebody woke up. Did you hear about the story? Can't wait to see it. I can go into the long reading, but there's no need. All that matters is Trump has a chance now to overturn those convictions based on the Supreme Court presidential immunity rulings. But the mainstream media, quiet. Of course they are. Not so quiet on this one. At least a few reported on it. Another victory for Trump. President Donald J. Trump versus Ashton Orr, which wouldn't mean much to most people. This will. Pam Bondi reporting. Attorneys at the Justice Department just secured a 24th victory at the Supreme Court's emergency docket. Today's stay allows the government to require citizens to list their biological sex on their passport. In other words, there are two sexes. And that had to make it all the way to the Supreme Court. Dumbfounding, isn't it? And guess who dissented? Go ahead. Sotomayor and Brown. Of course they did. You see, the mainstream media tries to confuse you. They try to mislead you. They try to keep these things very complex, and they're not. Just like the story of what's happening to John Brennan, which I also reported to you what would happen to John Brennan, based on one of Trump's first appointments. And guess what's about to happen to John Brennan? It's a story I'm going to bring you. Again, black and white principles here, and I hope, and I know, based on how many thousands of you have joined just over the last 48 hours, something's resonating. For those of you that are new here, welcome home. Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a special minute to say thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the super thanks. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for following those simple things of making sure your bell is checked to all, putting a comment below, sharing the videos. It's letting these public platforms know that this news matters, and that makes a difference to the algorithm, and hence the channel is growing. Those of you who followed over to our private platform of RestrictedRepublic.com, today you're going to get a special treat, because the chaos theory that I'm about to explain to you, man, it's just going to be you and I talking. No fancy graphics, nothing, just a conversation. One that I prepared to put one of the most complex principles that is happening with the Democrats into the most simple terms so you understand why they are so damn successful sometimes. It's going to open your eyes. Get to RestrictedRepublic.com today. Just trust me. You get 14 days for free. And if you don't like what I have to say and you don't like what the rest of the catalog has, just go to your dashboard and you can cancel. As long as you do it within the 14 days, no harm, no foul. But I promise you, once you're there, you'll go nowhere else for your news that matters. But now let's get back to the story and John Brennan. And lo and behold, you remember when I told you about a gentleman by the name of Jason Redding Quinones? The first appointee, the first U.S. attorney out of Florida, Trump appointed. I told you he was going to be coming around, and lo and behold, the DOJ is now actively preparing to issue grand jury subpoenas relating to the John Brennan investigation. And who's doing it? Jason Redding Quinones, out of the Southern District of Florida, actively preparing the grand jury subpoenas. What goes around comes around, Johnny. There's only so long you can not be telling the truth. And how do we know this, huh? Because we follow some basic facts, some basic principles. It's called research. If you ever want my references, you can go to RestrictedRepublic.com. Those of you who are already there, just look down in my description box, or you go to JusticeAnight.com. My references are there because I want you to check me out. We talked about this story too. It's a sad story, and it came back around again. Biden's HHS lost contact with half of all migrant children that were put with adult sponsors in the U.S. Half. Do you know how many children? Just in 2021, 264,000 children were put with adult sponsors. We lost contact with half of that number. Where are those children? We don't know. Who are they with? We don't know. It's one of the most gut-wrenching stories, and why we needed to secure our border. Because when we opened it up, we couldn't even handle what was coming in, including children. And who supported Biden through all of that? This woman. And why I am not sad to see her go. I told you she was going several days ago, didn't I? Because they're coming after her seat. And Donning is just the first move of many. AOC's coming after Schumer next. So Pelosi announces her retirement, saying it's because of redistricting. Nah. It's much larger than that. Although she is Trump's public enemy number one, Trump had a statement for Pelosi on her way out.
He tells me the following, and this is a quote. The retirement of Nancy Pelosi is a great thing for America. She was evil, corrupt, and only focused on bad things for our country. She was rapidly losing control of her party, and it was never coming back. I'm very honored. She impeached me twice and failed miserably twice. Nancy Pelosi is a highly overrated politician.
Well, it's true. She is losing control of her party, but I would have changed that. She lost control of her party. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have control of their party right now? Who are they kidding? They have no control. It's a ship sailing in no direction. It's fragmented. It's chaotic. Exhibit A. This man won. We've covered it for days now. And just to show you the hypocrisy, the chaos works, we completely changed the electorate of this city. Just think about that statement. He's thumbing at his nose, even at the Democrat establishment, because he was asked in his final lightning round question, should Chuck Schumer face a challenge in 2028? Spokesperson stepped in, sorry, Joe, we gotta go. And they walked out, not even giving it an answer. Because Schumer is next. But what's worse, remember this man who's just one of the working class. After his historic victory, within hours, puts out this transition team message. So I hope you'll make a donation at Transition 2025. See, he's already asking for your money. As I told you, he would. Doesn't know how to earn money to pay for all of this. He's going to ask for money. If he doesn't get it, he's going to tax you for money. And if that doesn't work, he'll tax you more. Because free stuff, again, has to be paid for by somebody. But you know, this working class man who needs donations for help, he does what every good socialist communist leader does. He jumps in his jet and takes off to a luxury resort. Hey, New York, how you feeling now, huh? Mondani slammed for jetting to luxury resort for Puerto Rico conference during shutdown. You see, that's what it feels like to get burned. But it's all part of the chaos. It always has been part of the chaos. So I'm going to start with this. Because you see, Democrats figured something out in 2017. Chaos works. Every day of Trump's term, first term, we had riots, autonomous zones, judge blocking policy like it was a sport, and activist students trying to cancel reality itself. Now they've resurrected the same formula in Trump's second term, except, do we still have riots? Check. There are now protests at ICE offices. District judges are writing executive orders from the bench. Double check. And topping it all off, the return of what was the human foghorn herself, Nancy Pelosi, declaring on CNN that Trump is a vile creature. Remember, though, they're the party of peace. No violence. And calling him the worst thing on earth. Classy, huh? What a real stateswoman she is. And then she announces her retirement. The goal isn't persuasion. It's confusion. They say one thing, they do another. Flood the public square with so much lunacy that no one else can tell what's real anymore. And when everything feels unstable, people instinctively point to the person in charge and the Oval Office and say, make it stop. You're doing this. And they vote for anything opposite of what they think is in charge, rather than the person causing the chaos. And that's exactly what they did in the vote 2 days ago. Now, if you want to understand more about this, because Trump told you, and so it begins. He said that many times now. He left blistering statement after blistering statement, but the Republicans aren't reacting because he understands this. And if you want to know exactly what's in his mind and what we understand, just hold on for a moment, because I'm going to kick this over now. Join me at restrictedrepublic.com Or if you're there, just go to the next video. Same tab, except it's black and white. And be ready, because we got something to talk about. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.